everyone. Welcome back to SPTV, the show that's all about you writing great stories. I'm your host, Alex, and I am so excited because today...
Hear me!
We hear you.
I, a very, very fancy royal scroll, am pleased to announce that SPTV has gotten so big, so famous, so world-renowned, that you have been chosen to receive a visit from...
Not now, Trumpet!
A visit from the Queen. SPTV. She's a big fan.
The Queen! Wow! Okay, all my life I felt like I was important enough to meet royalty, but now society has confirmed it.
And she's excited to meet you, Alex.
Hello, my followers. I'm putting this out into the universe. I want to visit the SPTV studios, and I will. I'm coming!
Yeah, she's a really big fan.
I can't believe it! I'm so excited! Okay, we better start the show before she gets here. To the theme! Okay, Trumpet, what'd I say?
SPTV, write a story only you can write more stories. SPTV, you have the permission to get weird. SPTV.
Oh, that's the Queen's entrance music! Now announcing the Queen!
Wow, this is such an honor. Oh, you must be Alex. Oh, this is the greatest day of my life. Are you kidding me? This is the greatest day of my life. We're so excited to have you with us today.
Announcing the Queen's Jester!
Ha, ha, ha. I jest.
The Queen's Town Crier!
Ha.
The Queen's Wizard!
Ha! Let there be fire! Ah! Oh! Too much fire! Take away the fire! Aha! Magic. Haha! Oh, pardon me. All right. Okay. Excuse me. TV host / talent / triple threat coming through. Okay, everybody stop! I'm so sorry. I just don't think there's enough room in here for everyone. I guess I hadn't considered that I travel with quite the entourage. Oh, but you'll find space for us, won't you? Please, 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 Alex. It's always been my dream to visit the SPTV studios. All right, while I figure this out, why don't you watch this first story written by a real kid?
Hey, Jack, you ever feel like being a frog isn't all it's cracked up to be? I don't know, Bob. Being a frog is pretty cool, but I guess it could be better. Wait, I've got it. What if we had houses on our backs? That way we'd have a house wherever we go, and we could carry lots of stuff. Lots of stuff, eh? That does sound awesome. Of course, we'd have to get some help from the unpredictable, all-powerful, eccentric, and terrifying wizard, Lilac the Transformer.
I am found!
Lilac.
Call me Mrs. Transformer.
Okay.
Mrs. Transformer, will you please transform us so that we always have houses on our backs? I can do that. That is, if you're sure.
Could you give us one moment, Mrs. Transformer?
No problem. I shall pass the time by playing the kazoo.
I don't know, Bob. Maybe it's a huge mistake to ask an all-powerful wizard to do us a life-altering favor.
Don't worry, Jack. I'm sure Lilac won't do one of her typical teach you a lesson by giving you what you thought you wanted, but in an ironic way spells.
Wait, what?
Mrs. Transformer, we're in.
Okay, you asked for it. Grass is green, grass is fertile. Turn these frogs into turtles. turtles.
Ah, you're a turtle.
You're a turtle.
We're turtles.
Don't say I didn't warn you.
You didn't warn us.
I know, but don't say it.
Well, we're turtles. There's no denying that. But at least we have houses on our backs.
Let's go get some stuff. See, being a turtle turned out just fine, Jack. Look at all this stuff.
Honestly, Bob, I'm starting to think this whole having houses on our backs thing was a bad idea.
You're right. Life was a lot simpler when we didn't have all this stuff to clean and take care of. Maybe we should go back to Lilac and see if she'll turn us back into frogs.
I'm down. Mrs. Transformer!
Mrs. Transformer!
Oh, pipe down, I hear you. What do you want?
Can you change us back?
Of course I can. The question is, will I? And the answer is, I already have.
You did it! We're frogs again!
Thank you, Mrs. Transformer.
Oh, please, call me Lilac.
The end?
Okay. Well, that didn't help at all. It's like I read all those Marie Kondo books for nothing. But I never give up. I'm sure I can create some space right here in my dressing room. And you said this was a blanket fort? Well, I'll try anything once. Blankets red and yellow and green turn into a castle fit for a queen! Oh, wizard! Magic. Child, I may be a big fan of SPTV, but if you don't find space in this studio soon, this royal visit is going to turn into a royal condemnation. Don't be mad. Do you want to watch another video? Oh, another video. Yes. Okay, play it.
Hi, creators. I'm Lindsay, and welcome to Story Pirates University. Today, we are going to need lots of imagination because we are designing a fantasy castle for a fantasy story.
It's harder than you think. I just tried to build an ice castle inside the volcano kingdom, and my subjects were not happy when it melted. I said I'll fix it!
Well, King Justin, I see your mistake. You didn't design the castle to fit where the castle is. The great thing about a fantasy castle is that a fantasy castle exists in a fantasy world, meaning you could place it somewhere you could never have a castle in the real world, like in the treetops or floating on the clouds.
Or inside of a volcano. So if I'm going to make a castle that fits in here, I'm going to need to make it of lava rocks and heat-resistant steel. But I don't know what it should look like.
Even though in fantasy, we can be really creative and imagine things that no one has ever thought up before, it's often helpful to get inspiration by looking up pictures of castles that have really existed all across the world.
Whoa! Check these out! Wow, they're all so different.
Yeah, and even though they are very different, they often have a lot of similar things. Maybe some things that we want to include in our castle.
Like walls to protect it. And a palace where the ruler lives. Ooh, and a tower to check the surroundings and to make sure that no one's trying to sneak in.
All those parts make it sound like castles are super complicated, but actually, they're just made up of a bunch of simple shapes.
Oh, like squares and rectangles, triangles that are tall or short, circles, half circles, or even arches.
This is really starting to look like a castle, but it's missing something. Something fancy. There should always be one really fancy detail that makes this castle completely original. Something that you wouldn't see on any other castle anywhere. This could be a fancy window with a really interesting design, Or maybe a fancy flag with your symbol on it.
How about a huge lava garden fountain with a statue of the greatest ruler the Volcano Kingdom has ever seen? Me. What do you think of this castle, subjects? Haha, the subjects have spoken.
She really just leaves this stuff anywhere. But I can't get distracted. I have a problem to solve. But I can't just magically make the studio bigger. Wait a minute. Wasn't that last video all about creating a fantasy castle? That's it! If I use what I know about the history of castles and use strong, stable building blocks and add something fancy, then I've created a castle fit for a queen. I did it! I created my own wonderful, imaginative, architecturally magnificent castle. Well, child, I am delighted to tell you that as a result of all your service, it is my honor to make you a knight of the realm. It comes with an ice cream cone.
Hi, I'm Carlos.
And I'm Matilde.
I'm 12.
And I'm 9.
We live in Florida, and we're reviewing Katie the Cat Sitter.
The main character is Katie, and she likes cats, especially Scratch Off.
And she really wants to go to camp, but she can't raise enough money, so she does this babysitting job for the 217 cats. And they have really special skills.
My favorite cats are Shrimpy Longstockings, Makeup Artist, and Dr. Claw Bath Bombs.
My favorites are Athena Super Speed, and then Cringer Skateboard Master.
My question for the author is, why is the Katie Cat Sitter about cats and having cats and not about bunnies, because you have bunnies?
Hi! So I'm Colleen. I am the author of Katie the Cat Sitter. That is such a good question because I have 2 bunnies. I actually work with a bunny rescue, but I also have had cats in the past. I just always thought that cats were always slightly they knew more than they let on, and they were more slightly evil. Even when they're being good, they're always this much evil. And I really like that about cats.
My question for the illustrator is, what artist inspired you?
Hi! I'm Stephanie. I'm the illustrator for Katie the Cat Sitter. I think the 2 biggest ones would be Bill Watterson, who did Calvin and Hobbes, and Hayao Miyazaki. I grew up with Calvin and Hobbes, so I loved how expressive Calvin and Hobbes could both be, even though they're really, he's squashed little body and he's a cartoon. And I really liked how the cats are drawn in Miyazaki world. They look like cats, but they're often doing human things or magical things.
Goodbye, Stephanie.
Goodbye, Colleen.
It was nice to meet you.
Katie the Cat Sitter.
Now, it's your turn to write a story. Grown-ups can submit stories at storypirates.org. Before we go, here's today's story spark. Oh, I've always wanted to say that.
Design a fantasy castle. Think about where in this fantasy world that castle exists. Design it using simple shapes and even add something fancy. Think about who might live there or rule there. This could be a great place to start a fantasy story.
Oh, she posted it. Oh, you're gonna love this. Here, I'll press play.
SPTV, write a story only you can write and write more stories. SPTV, you have the permission to get weird. SPTV.